So many persons find technical drawing to be very daunting from my experience as a teacher. And the purpose of this video is to help my students and other students to understand the purpose of the different tools as we go about creating the title block. One of the most notable and essential tools in technical drawing is the T-square. Now the purpose of the T-square is to draw straight and horizontal lines perpendicular to the side of the table at a 180-degree plane. So the T-square is what we're going to be using now to line up our paper on the table in order to do the border. Now, the title block is something that's essential for all of your drawings, so this is one of the most important things for you to know for every class. What you're first going to do is ensure that your T-square is snug against the side of your table, and after you do that, you rest the paper on top of the T-square like this. Why? Because the T-square, we assume that the line or the plane of the T-square is straight, and so once you rest the paper on top of the T-square, we'll know that, alright, whatever line we're going to draw is straight. But before we can do any drawing, we're going to be using strips of tape to secure the paper to our drawing table. So I have 4 strips of tape here that I'm going to use to fasten the different corners of the paper. And I'm considering the fact that the border will be going around at a certain distance, 10 millimeters from the edges of the paper. So I'm not going to allow the tape to take up too much of the corner. I'm just going to take a little convenient section of the corners of the paper right here, so that the border can be done easily. So a way to check if your paper is square on the table is once again by lining up the T-square. As you can see, the top section of the T-square lines up perfectly with the bottom of the paper. So therefore, whatever horizontal lines or vertical lines I'm going to draw, I can know that these lines will be perfectly parallel with the different edges of the paper. So now the first thing we're going to do is use our set square, which has different measurements on it, to determine the border of the paper. Now, typically we use a width of 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter as our border around the paper. So what I'll do is that at any point on the set square, I'm going to line up one of those base units or measurement, and I'm going to find 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter, and I'm going to mark it here. I'm going to mark it very lightly. You can mark 2 different points if you want, or if you have the experience and you're confident, you can just mark only 1 point like me. But I'll just do 2 points for the benefit of this lesson. Now, the T-square, as I said, is used to draw horizontal lines. So I'm going to move the T-square up to these marks while ensuring that the head of the T-square is snug against the side of the table. Reach to the 2 points, and then I'm going to lightly draw a line through those points. What I have just drawn is a construction line. The line is very light. I did not press down on the pencil, because this is not the final product of the border and the title block. So I did not press down on the pencil, I just did a light line across. That's my first horizontal line. I'm going to draw the second horizontal line, which will be the top border, and I'm going to do the same procedure. Measure 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter and mark right there. And I'll mark a second section at the top, or a second point. And now I'm going to draw the second horizontal line. I move the T-square up to those 2 points, and then lightly drag my pencil across through the points, and that's my second horizontal line. So now I have the top and bottom lines to make the border. Now we're going to do the vertical lines. As it relates to the vertical lines, many inexperienced persons in technical drawing tends to make this mistake. And that is assuming that because the T-square is straight and we use it to make horizontal lines, we can then use it to draw vertical lines like this. Well, it is important to know from this first lesson that that is incorrect. That is something that should not be done whatsoever. Instead, to get any vertical line, we're going to use our set squares in collaboration with the t-square to draw those vertical lines. How do we do that? We can use either the 45-degree set square or the 60-30 set square, and we are going to rest the set square on top of the t-square like this to make any vertical lines that we desire. But before I do that, let me measure the 10 millimeters from the border. So I allow I put the beginning point or the beginning measurement at the edge of the paper. I tend to ensure that the stroke on the set square is in the same line as the edge of the paper, and then I mark that 10 millimeter there. I can do another point down here and a third one here, because I'm going to have to, I won't be able to draw the vertical line in one motion. So now I'm going to draw the vertical line. So I have the t-square here set. I move the set square over to the point and then lightly draw the line upwards or downwards as long as it's going through the point. I'm going to stop it right at the edge there. The line is not finished. I'm going to move up the t-square to finish the vertical line. Now the first vertical line is completed. And again, this is a construction line, a light line that we can easily rub out certain excess areas or incorrect areas and adjust it before we do the object line or the finished line. We have our second vertical line to the left that we're going to do. We're going to measure the 10 millimeters again. One point in the middle. One point towards the bottom section of the paper. And a third point up here. And now we're going to draw the vertical line going up. Again, ensure my t-square is straight, because if my t-square was like this, the line would have been lean. So ensure the head of the t-square is snug against the side of the table. Move the set square over to the point. And now I'm going to draw that vertical line up. Alright, so I'm going to draw the vertical line. I'm going to ensure my pencil, I'm not going to press down on it, I'm going to move it lightly up. And now I'm going to finish the vertical line. Move over the set square to the point and finish the vertical line. Now this is where I can do my final touches on the border. Move the set square to the point, do that little section there. I can use the pencil, rub out this excess section there. Same it over this side, and that's why I did not allow the tape to cover too much of the corner so that I could draw the corners easily. Because look at this section. When I'm finished, I'm going to have to take off the tape and adjust that corner to ensure that it is neat. Next thing now, we have the border. Next thing we're going to do is to draw the title block. Now the title block is a section where you're going to be writing all the various descriptive information related to the drawing. That's the name of the student, the class you're in if you're doing this in a school setting, the school you attend, the date of the drawing, and the topic. And the scale is also important. So the title block has a certain way in which you draw it, and the reason being is that just as how all lines and arcs and curves have to be precise, even your lettering in technical drawing or TD has to be precise as well. So you can't just write in cursive when you're doing technical drawing. You have to write using block letters. So with that being said, how are we going to do the title block? Well, just as how we stepped up 10 millimeters from the edge of the paper, we're going to step up another 10 millimeters using the set square, measure 10 millimeters and mark that. And now we're going to draw a line across, and that will be the general area of the title block. Now this is not enough. we have a line here for the title block, but now we need two guidelines in between the block in which we're going to do our writing. So seeing that we have a 10 millimeter space here, what we're going to do, we are going to create two guidelines, one of them being 2 millimeters from the top line and 3 millimeters above this line right here. So there will be two guidelines in essence. This is where precision is key, and a strong understanding of the strokes on your set square or ruler is important. So 3 millimeters is very small. You may not be able to see it, but I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. I'm going to make that, well, I said 2 from the top, I'm sorry. If I said something different, I'm sorry. So from the top, count 1, 2, and I have my first mark there. From the bottom by 3 millimeters, 1, 2, 3, and I have another mark there. So now I'm going to draw the two guidelines here using T-square. Bring my T-square to that first point. I'm going to lightly draw that line across from end to end. Then I'm going to move to the lower guideline and I'm going to draw another line from end to end. Now to show you the true beauty of this title block, what I'm going to do now is brighten the lines of the border as well as the outer lines of the title block. So now I'm going to apply a little more pressure to my pencil to highlight this line. Now for this vertical line, I'm going to apply more pressure to this as well. For the horizontal line, apply pressure, brightening the stop line. For this vertical line, finally, alright, so now we are finished brightening the lines, and now what we're going to do finally is write in the crucial information that we need in our title block. Again, as I said, we don't write in cursive in technical drawing. Instead, we write with uppercase block letters. So the first thing we're going to do is write our name. But we're going to write the title first. So, name. N-A-M. Notice I come all the way down. M-E. Colon. Then John, J-O-H-N, D-O-E. Next, subject, S-U-B-J-E-C-T. J E C T. Notice how I pay close attention to how each word is written. It's almost as if I'm drawing the letters, because even the lettering in technical drawing has to be neat. So it's okay if you take the time to ensure that each letter is done accurately. So that's technical D R A W I N G. I'm going to add the date. E A T E. I'm going to use the day, month, year format. So today is the 10th of the 10th, 2024. Whatever drawings will be done on this sheet will be done to a scale of 1 to 1. So I'm going to add that. Scale. One, colon, 1. Okay, so you're doing a traditional means of drawing for your SBA. You can also put in your candidate number, center number, and all of that. But the final thing I'm going to write in is the topic. So you can take notes of where I write the topic. T So that is how, so this is how you create your border and title block. As a tip, take some time to practice. Don't wait until you enter your class for you to start doing the title block, especially if you're not experienced with this. The typical time that you can take to create one title block is 7 minutes. Between 5 and 10 minutes is appropriate. If you know you're going to take longer than that, I suggest you do these at home, or even do a number of title blocks and borders before you get to class, so that whatever special drawing your teacher has for you to do, you'll have your title blocks prepared. Because not only are you graded for the drawing that you do in your paper space, but you will also be graded for the quality and the neatness of your border and title block.